There are moments in our life where we are walking with others, and in a sense, let's say you're going to the bank or you're going to the grocery store, wherever you're going. As you're suddenly getting to the door, imagine the door opening for you. Imagine the sense of you having made all these outline steps, suddenly one of them being done. You wonder if you weren't the immediate cause of that effort. In other words, you weren't there, but somehow someone else perhaps pushed the door or pressed that button. You would see a sense of difference that can no longer be individuated. You will see how you are the cause of everything, and also you are the effect of every cause. You will discover this in this life by going through certain experiences. Experiences is life's communication to you, and you've been having it, but now as a conscious and self-aware being, you can choose to adjust its intensity based on your gaze. So in other words, when I see someone looking at the ground, I'm not gonna write them a book so they read, you know. Oh, I'm not gonna tell them, hey man, you're looking at the ground, and they're like, no, this is life. I'm looking at it, this is the only thing, there's nothing else, you know? Let's say you were just someone who'd never looked up. You would see that it is not about what is true or not, it is about how aware you are of your design within other designs. And so when you're experiencing, there's a sense of transition. Some things are leaving you for some things to come. And this is a self-conscious period, because you will see that you're going to a point where, no, I don't want to change. Suddenly, boom, change. And suddenly peace. A lot of people need to be told very directly and, in a sense, inspired to look up. There are many people who are just seeing problems that are specific to them. They're not seeing problems as problems of humanity. Because once you do, that is a different intensity. A man who cares for life has a different intensity than someone who doesn't. But at the same time, there are those who don't, but also care. But again, that's how much they're allowing themselves to be expressed. You see, guys, talking is the problem when silence already has the answer. We will find that at times, graffiti walls can communicate truths regardless of how messy they are. You must see that you are a life process which is now. And this life process which is now is able because it can perceive many relationships of its inability and ability. You see, guys, once you really want to look up, it doesn't matter what anyone says, you will look up. You will get rid of your comfort zone. You would stretch your back. You would feel the serenity in the movement of others when you're still, and the stillness of others when you move. So in your mind, if someone succeeds, you make yourself empty and appreciate their success as if you are life appreciating them. And similarly, when it's your time to act, when life gives you great opportunities, you take it. Because the minute you try and you go through that experience, there are no longer any hands. And so taking becomes a concept that wanted to leave, but it never could because people would keep talking about it. the modalities of thought are important to look at. You need to work with yourself. What I can say is, forget the whole hoax of there's smart people and there's stupid people. Forget that. Simply you as a being, explore your humanity, explore your humanness, explore the thoughts that are around you, the thoughts that you are identifying with, the thought that you are, and even different subtler feelings. Because the person who walked a bit slower saw a bit more. And so, again, going back to that point where if life points something to you, what would you do? You would enter the opportunity, actually let me say, rather than taking it. When you enter the opportunity, you're allowing every voice to fade so as you hear the voice you need to be in that moment. What that means is man's greatest problems in his communication is himself. When there is a lack of knowing, we see that we have just allowed ourselves the space to know more. And you know, the feeling you have right now can be shaped, guys. You could call yourself happy, sad, you know, whatever. But I choose to go unshaped. Because when I say unshaped, that means I'm just allowing it naturally be. I don't say I'm sad to then feel I need to be happy. I simply fluctuate, and every experience as a being, you don't understand, it's blissful, guys. You have not experienced even this physical body in its utmost intensity. Through certain meditative states, I've understood that by my natural allowance to harmonize, I am providing a blending of thought and reality to emanate from the same source. And so words break because there's another intelligence that's handling the situation, let's say, handling the moment. Once you see the omnipresence in which the highest levels of consciousness are present through, you would see that their beginning awareness of being invisible to the limited visible is the fact that they are a greater acknowledgement of visibility. And man can lead to that path too, but you need to see that a greater acknowledgement of man is to, in a sense, be the space of man, looking at man rather than just man. And when I say space of man, where does the conception of space and time come from? But the eyes that are open in the moment they are presented. The experience of truth is shapeless when it is always an experiential presence. In other words, do not let the darkness in the cocoon make you forget the wings that you already have. And so the care of life is a sense of release. You will see a person who cares, a person who loves, a person who is compassionate has released any requirement of his attention to constantly create a certain shape for a face, you know, for Mr. Within. No name could do Mr. Within justice. I hope in this talk you have, in a sense, heard about the clarity that you are. And I want to tell you, in a lot of these new communities of, philosophy and, other social platforms, a lot of people feel we're in a bad condition. A lot of people feel the world is havoc. And so when you see that when there's an orderly world, you send orderly emissaries. When the world is turning to chaos, you send chaotic emissaries who know about order. And what that means is you, as a being right now, are looking at yourself through the eyes of humanity, which is just a presence. And so presence, as being multidimensional in nature, when looked self-reflectively, we recognize that our fingers belong to a greater palm. And you don't need to confuse this, because life works in different sensitivities. You will see that I have been in experiences, at least I can say, that it's as if there are multiple simultaneous sensitivities and intensities of life being experienced. And how it would be like, I guess, the body moving, a greater body moving, which to us comes as infinite realities of natural laws, into how for us to be something even, to be made. So remember that you can read as many books as you like, and it's good. I recommend reading, I like it. But to know yourself is never done without observance. Observance is your gift. It is the gift you have as a being. And observance is the allowance of a shape made of form to dissolve in its formless remembrance, because we all remember things because it is in the design of flux, of cosmic flux. I don't know what words to say aside from I don't know. Exactly. It is okay to not know when you are experiencing life as an observer, because there is nothing shaped for you to know. You become the knowing. And so it is not ignorance, because we, as pilots of consciousness, I have always seen myself as a pilot, and I realized, not always actually, but a certain point in my life that became significant, and something fell into place. And I recognized a pilot looks both ways. He knows how to fly back and forth. And therefore, the moment is your seat. And some people wear seat belts, others go to the bathroom, and some wise kids knock on the pilot's door to see what's inside, to see who's running this plane of existence. You see, guys, once you confront yourself very naturally and calmly, you will discover that you were always able to confront yourself, to handle yourself, and to maintain anything. Once you look at really who you are, you are absorbed in a recollection of memory found relevant to the designs of the present hologram in front of you, or present objects, or whatever you're seeing, So there is a density to sensitivity in which it presents itself to a greater audience through a greater show. So let's look at it this way. We see a dog. A dog is scared, or a dog is somewhere, let's say, and this dog is in danger. When this dog is in danger, it doesn't know what's going on. It has a sense of survival, but perhaps not the self-awareness of man. Mankind, as the higher being, comes and saves the dog. And so the dog may not understand how such a thing happened, but would know that there was a happening. So what that means is that certain things will seem familiar to you because your immediate attention is on the peripheral. Once it becomes clearly to who you are, your remembrance doesn't need shape and you know it. And when I say it doesn't need shape, it's not that it doesn't have shape. It's filled with shape, but infinite shape. You see, it's not bound to human duality. So man's self-awareness is giving him an opportunity to blend himself with all that he calls other. Integrate for the might of the ocean is the greatest vision. That can come to the stream that may not know where it's directed, but has faith in the flow of its existence. Give yourself infinity and see there's nothing there. For some smiles have nothing behind them. They are just peaceful, ecstatic, blissful moments where you suddenly discover that tears of absolute meaningless joy are found on your cheeks. So when you have this moment, that means that relax. We are in the presence of our greater vision, which, regardless of how other or outside of us may be considered, is the beauty of our greater reflection. When man listens, there is nothing he can't hear. Much blessings and namaste.